With this morning, some shifts in former President Donald Trump's legal calendar. The former president's federal election interference case will no longer begin on the 4th of March, according to Judge Chutkan. It comes as the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has not yet decided whether Trump is immune from prosecution. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard in Las Vegas and David Henderson, civil rights attorney and former prosecutor. So, Vaughn, how is the Trump campaign feeling about these new developments?
Right. This obviously is going to be a key part of their political calendar here. And if, in fact, the federal election interference case is not slated to begin until either later this spring or summer, that would allow the hush money payment case in the state of New York brought by District Attorney Alvin Bragg to begin on March 25th, the day that Judge Merchan currently has it slated to start. Now, there is a February 15th pre-trial hearing in which the judge will hear multiple motions made by Donald Trump's legal team to dismiss the 34 felony counts against him on the grounds that it is impeding his presidential campaign efforts, as well as has violated his due process rights. Again, we are looking at that pretrial hearing just a week and a half from now. But for Donald Trump, he ultimately, regardless of which trial comes first, is facing felony counts in each of them. And in the hush money payment case, 34. And so for Donald Trump, this would not likely be a multi-month trial, but instead this could take place in just a matter of weeks. So even as late as, April or May, we could very much have a verdict against Donald Trump on several of these felony counts stemming from the hush money payment case. And of course, no felony conviction, which our NBC News polling has showed is not going to favor Donald Trump politically come November.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Vaughn, on Thursday, the Supreme Court's going to take up the issue of, whether the former president can or cannot be on ballots. Any understanding of whether Trump is going to head to D.C. on Thursday?
At this point in time, we expect Donald Trump here actually in the state of Nevada, because that is, in fact, the day of the Nevada caucus. Now, Donald Trump is the only candidate who is actually taking part in that caucus. We already know that he is going to walk away here with all of the delegates because Nikki Haley chose to take part in the state's primary that is happening tomorrow. So at this point, it's politically irrelevant what happens here this week. He's going to already get the delegates. But of course, the attention from Trump's camp is going to be solely on the Supreme Court oral argument. His team, his legal team, is going to have 40 minutes to present their case to the Supreme Court justices. And Donald Trump has been particularly worried. At a numerous number of his events, Jose, he has spoken from the campaign stage, expressing concern that even his, in his words, the own appointments that he made to the Supreme Court could try to rule against him and kick him off of the ballot so as to come off as being fair. Of course, this is a complicated case that is coming before the Supreme Court, and there's no reason to believe that they will be making a politically calculated decision. But Donald Trump and his own political fate, as well as his legal fate, largely tied to what happens in November, is going to come at the hands of the Supreme Court and the decision that we'd expect to come in the weeks after these oral arguments on Thursday.
Yeah, and David, as we speak about the legal fate of Donald Trump, with the legal fates, I guess, is a better way of putting it, of Donald Trump, a key strategy for Trump in all of his cases is the delay proceedings. How significant is this delay?
You can't state how significant the delay is overall, Jose, because this is a standard approach that people take, specifically in criminal defense. I've had some high-level lawyers tell me that delaying time heals all wounds in criminal cases. Now, it doesn't necessarily affect the legal claims, but that's not all that matters in a case that's actually going to go to trial. The amount of pressure you can mount really matters, especially when part of what people are doing is jockeying to try to determine who's going to actually go first. Regardless of what they're actually saying when they're making statements about these cases, no one wants to be up first, and lawyers aren't nearly as good on our feet as we market ourselves as being. We like to plan. We like to be able to develop strategies. All this chaotic movement with regard to these court settings, which is going to continue, strongly favors Trump.
And David, on Friday, Fulton County DA Fani Willis admitted to having what she called a personal relationship with a prosecutor on the case against Trump, but she said it should not disqualify her. What does this mean for the case?
I don't think she's likely to be disqualified, Jose, but this goes back to what you and I were just talking about. It continues to build pressure on her. Part of what we're forgetting when we look at some of these cases is the charges themselves are historically significant, but also Fani Willis is probably under more pressure than any prosecutor has ever been under in the history of the country. She made a mistake. That mistake is going to cost her, but where it really hurts is the amount of pressure it puts on her as she continues to try to mount this case. And keep in mind, this case is going to go on for months at least, maybe years, and all she has to do is make one mistake that in a trial could cost her one vote for one juror, and she loses.
Vaughn Hilliard and David Henderson, thank you very much.